sunshine comes from the east, till the light of the dark is coming. We are all up in our eyes, we are all up in our heart, we are all up in our mind, under the same sky. Not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we are one in struggle. Let's reach our dream together. We can, we are young together. Hey, hey, it's time to get up. Hold and build somebody. Set to go, we step together. One spirit to go. Great. Not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we are one in struggle. Let's reach our dream together. We can, we are young together. Hey, it's time to get up. Hold a hand, build somebody. Set to go, we step together. One spirit to go. Great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Martin Aguilar, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. I am the founder and chief consultant of the Filipino Hospitality and the 2021 Local Skills Development Director of JCI Alabang. Now, before we begin, if any of you have questions regarding the discussion, don't hesitate to send them to us by entering it in the comment section of whatever social media platform you're watching this on. And I'll be here to relay them to our guest speakers. Now, welcome to the live webinar series of ESME.ph. It's an e learning marketplace for Filipino professionals where one can develop relevant and in demand skills through master classes in different fields of learning. Now, if you want to learn more about them, feel free to visit their page at sme.ph. Now, for those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, feel free to share the link to this stream to people who you think will be interested in today's topic. All right. Now, we are inviting everyone to join us in our live learning series where seasoned experts, such as the speaker today, in various fields from agriculture and business to marketing to futures thinking to relationships to health and whatever more, right? Help you develop your skills and advance both in your personal life and in your career. So, if you're interested to learning more about the live learning series, head on over to their website. Again, it's www.esme.ph and click on the live learning tab. So, hope you can join us. Okay. Now, this webinar is in partnership with the ASEAN Youth Organization. It's an ASEAN approved nonprofit organization that spreads awareness of ASEAN to over 200 million young people in Southeast Asia. This webinar is also brought to you by Rotary Club of Alabang, Madrigal Business Park, and JCI Alabang. Our topic for today is actually about the relevance of technology in the new normal learning system. Now, education in a third world country like the Philippines is both a right and a privilege. So, whatever social status you belong to, education is your key to success. Now, if learning and education is a battlefield, our gadgets, cell phones, and laptops, as well as our tablets, are our weapons. Now, we never been this close to actually losing our grip to reality because of another battlefield we are facing as a nation, the COVID pandemic. And so we have to do our duties as, I don't know, students, young professionals, you know, with this, right? The Junior Chamber International and TERP Global are actually but two of our allies as they aid in learning and development and help young people like us to be both competitive and relevant through setting an innovative mindset, especially in the new normal. Again, I am Martin Aguilar, the Filipino Hospitality, and of course, representing JCI Alabang. The Filipino Hospitality, for everyone's information, actually aims to aid our tourism stakeholders' knowledge, skills, and attitudes through Filipino hospitality and cultural programs, while the Junior Chamber International actually reaches out to the young and active individuals across the globe to promote positive change. Since the pandemic, both organizations have evolved and both are dedicated to the development of technology as a tool of the millennial education system. Now, let us all welcome our speakers for today. Our first speaker, Mr. Mike Esplago, was a merchant marine officer who served in the Philippines Maritime Industry Authority, or MARINA, and is the co-founder and regional manager of TERP in the Asia Pacific. Our second speaker, Mr. Marvel Esplago, was a College of Maritime Education professor and deputy director for maritime studies and is now a TERP customer success consultant. Now, TERP is a company based in Norway and Hong Kong and operates in Europe and in Asia. It establishes from the passion of Care Johansson and Magne Artsetov on technology as the key in improving education for students around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, another welcome to our guests, Mr. Mike Esplago and Mr. Marvel Espago. Hi, Mike. Marvel, how are you?
Hi, Martin. Good morning. Good morning
Hello,
to
Sir
you.
Martin. Thank you for that introduction.
Good morning, guys, and thank you for being here with us in this well, casual conversation. But of course, no, we just want to first acknowledge the people watching us from Facebook. So we have President Gian Nasino, who says good morning to everyone. He's the president of Junior Chamber Alabang. We have immediate past President Isa Antonio here as well. Oh, we have our VP Karen Romarates, who says good morning to everyone as well. Thank you very much for joining us. We even have greetings from New Jersey, USA, coming from Miss Mary Rosales. Good morning to you. We also have Angel Villaronte. Past President Casey Ang is also watching us from Facebook. So please go ahead, guys, and continue to send your greetings to us. And maybe if you have questions later on, we'll make sure to acknowledge them. Now, let's go on and start the discussion, shall we, gentlemen? We're all set, ready to go?
All right, sir. Let
All
me just
right.
share.
Okay, sige. So maybe Marvel, you can share to us a little bit about TERP, so that of course I gave an introduction of what TERP is, but maybe you can give us a more in-depth discussion of what TERP, who TERP is, and what it represents. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, hi again, everyone. I'm Marvil Espago, as introduced by Sir Martin. I'm here with Sir Mike to give you a brief background on what TERP technology is all about. So, we are part of the customer success team based here in the Philippines, but our company is based on Norway, as introduced. Okay. Let me just wait. Okay. So to give you a brief background on what TERP is, this is an infographics that we have. TERP is an educational platform. It's a technology-based educational platform that uses sub-platforms to deliver contents or learning materials to learners or students. Okay. Our first sub-platform is what we call the TERP web service or the TERP content. Okay. So the TERP content is mainly used by content developers comprised of teachers and school administrators. This is where they create, manage, and publish their books, or in TERP we call them, or we coin them as a-books. So the moment or in the midst of creating books, what they do is they can attach media files like images. We also have audio files, video files, and also assessments to those books. And once they've published it, it will then be stored to an internet-based cloud. Seeing that it is an internet-based cloud, teachers or the content developers need to have access to the internet to be able to use the TERP web service. However, for the end users, it can be offline. They can use the books that the teachers have published for them, even if offline. So how will that happen? So once the students get notified that they have contents that they need to download, they need to have internet connection at that point in time for only for the downloading. However, after they finish downloading, they can use the contents of the said books. They can also view all the videos, they can listen to all the audio files, they can take the assessments even if offline. Now, if you're going to ask me, how do the teachers get access to the scores or the progress of the students if they are using the books offline? Of course, the younger generations today, always go online. So if they use Facebook or anything that they do online, the cloud will then again retrieve their progress and the scores that they have inside the ebooks app. So they do not need to actually open up the ebooks app for them to for the system to get the scores. It will then automatically be stored to the cloud, and the teachers will get to see the scores and the progress of the students through a sub platform again of TERP, which we call TERP Classroom. Okay. So the term A-books is a mobile application. It is since it is a mobile application, the students can get to use it using their mobile phones or their tablets. We chose a mobile app rather than a browser-based app or browser-based technology for reasons that I will explain later on. So basically, this is an overview of how we do things with TERP with regards to learning materials. Okay, sir. So feel free, Sir Martin, to butt in if you do have questions with regards to that presentation.
Sure,
Okay.
Marvin.
Okay, so the most prominent questions that we have, I actually wanted to address them right here, right now. And one of those questions are, what are the possible contents of TERP and the TERP A-books? Of course, we have here photos. Aside from the text, of course, we can have photos. The teachers or content developers can add photos to their books. They can also add their videos. All of these are available even if offline, as long as the students or the learners get to download the said A-book. Okay, so we have videos as well, and tests or assessments. And this one is the TERP Classroom. So this is a sub-platform again of TERP. So we had TERP content wherein teachers get to create contents or books. And then we have the A-books. It is the end user platform for students or learners to get to download the books that their teachers created for them. And here in the TERP Classroom, it's actually a facet of the TERP technology wherein teachers get to see the progress and the scores of the students. This is why A-books is termed or coined as A-books, because A-books are adaptive books, because the teachers can get to see the progress of the students in real time as long as they get connected to the internet. So they can address those gaps while in the middle of the discussion, even if they are in distance learning. So this is the third classroom. And then we have here our latest development and soon to be released development is our simulations or augmented reality. The TERP is mainly focused right now on maritime education. So this is why our simulations, as you can see here in the video, is it's a seamanship and ship handling simulation. So this one, you can get to use your phone and direct it in a plain surface like your dining table, and then you can perform simulations. If you must know, a simulation costs millions of pesos for a school to procure it. So it's very, very expensive. Because of TERP, we wanted to get this technology more accessible and more available to a lot of students, maritime students. That is why we wanted to include simulations in our TERP content. And then one other question that we always get to encounter is that, what if I have a low budget phone? So the answer is that all phones working on Android 5.1, which was initially released on 2014, so that was 8 years ago, and iOS 9.0, 2015, and higher, of course, higher operating systems will work using the A-Books app or the TER platforms. So to give you a background, what phones are working on those kinds of operating systems, iPhone 4S, which was released in 2011 and higher, can use the A-Books app. Samsung Galaxy S4, LG G2, Sony Xperia Z. So this is not a marketplace for phones. I just wanted to give you like a benchmark on what kinds of phones will work. And these are this is comparatively older models of phones than compared to the phones that we have right now. So you can use the A-Books app even using these types of phones. All right. We also have Huawei and the other smartphones like Cherry Mobile. The local phones can also work as long as they can operate on Android 5.1 or iOS 9.0 and higher operating systems. Other question is that, what if I have an unstable internet connection? I've actually addressed this a while ago, that you can use A-Books online and offline. Online mainly to download the A-Book, and then offline you can use the A-Books app. You can see the videos, the tests. You can take the tests even if you are offline, so as long that you've already downloaded the A-Books app. So this is actually an answer to address the one of the greatest impediments that we have right now in the educational field in the Philippines, is that a lot of students have sporadic access to internet. So they do have access to the internet, however, it's not that stable. Like 24/7 is not that stable. So this is one way to address it. If they have access to the internet for this time, or they have access to a hotspot where they can download the books, they may do so. And then once they return home, or they return to a place wherein there is no signal or there is an unstable internet connection, they can still be they can still access learning materials even in those kinds of circumstances. Okay. So, how many people have smartphones and computers in the Philippines? This is my answer to why we wanted TERP to be in a mobile phone rather than a browser-based application or a browser-based technology. It's because, according to statistics, the number of people which has access or who has access to mobile phones is almost twice as the number of people who have access to computers. So it's almost, yeah, it's a large chunk of the population who, if we're going to use a browser-based application, it will be we will just address 36.32% of the population. Wherein if we're going to make it a mobile phone-based application, we're getting a more enormous chunk of the population. And because phones, as we all know, and it's undeniable right now, that we are more familiar to phones compared to computers. And since the younger generations right now use have been using phones for as an educational tool. So before pre-pandemic, students if students need to get resources, they just go to their phones and then open a search engine, then type it in there, search for Wikipedia or other credible sources. Okay, we all know it is undeniable that phones have been an educational tool, and we wanted to harness that possibility that phones can be can be furthered as an educational tool. So that is why. And then the last is, what is the internet penetration rate in the Philippines? It's actually 72.1. We are the fifth in Southeast Asia and the 10th in Asia. The first one in Southeast Asia is Korea, which has 96%, if I'm not mistaken. Well, we're a long way to go, but 72.1% of internet penetration is not bad for the Philippines, considering that we have a lot of islands which is not inhabited right now. So this is quite a good number for us. So seeing that technology is quite accessible for most of us here in the Philippines, we wanted to harness technology to innovate things. So, because we in TERP we believe that innovation should not be in an elitist manner, because a lot of us see technology as technology progresses, it becomes more elitist, it becomes more expensive for a lot of people, it becomes more inaccessible to a lot of people, even in the educational field. So that is why in TERP we wanted to create an innovation wherein it will be more accessible, seeing that the TERP platform is available even if offline, even if you are in an area where there is sporadic internet connection. We wanted to deliver simulations right at your phones, right at your grasp, right at your hand. We wanted to deliver all those learning materials and learning resources for the learners, because we believe in TERP that innovation should be for all. It should be an equitable affirmative action for students and learners. So yeah, so that is what mainly TERP is all about. Hopefully, I've delivered the gist of or the overview, but to be quite honest, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have a lot to offer in TERP. But if you do have questions, or if you're just curious about our technology, our contact information will be shown in the screen, and you can contact us, and we will be very happy to accommodate your questions. And if you do want to partner with us, that's better. Okay. So once again, this is TERP. I'm part of the customer success team. I'm Marvel Esplago, along with our team members here. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you very much, Marvel. No, it's a thorough explanation of what TERP is, how it started, no, and what you guys represent. Now, let me ask Mike, because I know, no, it's actually been over a year since schools, colleges, universities were actually closed, and we all had to evolve, and the online class curriculum was launched. Now, our dependency on technology has never been this challenging, no, since before, as compared right now in these times. The teacher parent student relationships have become a tool for an effective learning capacity. Now, what are your thoughts on really the importance of technology in the new normal of education, or even in my area of responsibility, learning and development? Any thoughts, Mike?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, Martin, we started launching TERP in Southeast Asia, and for that matter, the Philippines, way back in 2018. And one of the challenges that we realized, no, when we launched the product here in the Philippines was that we had some problems. For example, with number one, two things: internet connectivity and the devices of the students. So it was initially used in Europe, and there's difference with that. So what we did was we were challenged actually to push through what we wanted because right now our battle cry is actually to make learning attainable, to make knowledge attainable. So what we did was we created a product that we said, okay, this must be used by as much students as possible. That's why when Marvel said, that's the reason why we started developing the product in an app, so that because these apps are readily available in the smartphones of the students, and with the prices of or the cost of the smartphones, we believe that there will be more students who are able to access this technology. Now, when the pandemic hit, we started actually with just the app, where we just publish books there. When the pandemic hit, um, we what we did, our 5-year plan was pushed in a few months. So in a span of months, when the pandemic hit, we started allowing schools, our partner schools in the Philippines, to publish their own content. And true enough, that allowed them to streamline all of their content before. But apart from the technology in education, the most challenging, if not, I say, ahead of technology, is that the content. I think we had not so much innovation in education before that was prepared that had prepared us for this pandemic.
And that's spot on, Mike, no? Because we really understood, no, the importance of technology. Because I remember nga before, we Industry 4.0 was just a buzzword, and then suddenly we were all prepared, propelled to just embrace it as it was, right? Everybody had no choice but to really adapt to these situations. Now, based on the statistics, no, based on the data presented by Marvel kanina, we can say that basically technology is the breadwinner of the present generation, right? So millennial learning and development has, really definitely evolved since the introduction of smartphones, which students might consider their new textbooks. No, in fact, Marvel mentioned that we actually prefer the usage of these mobile phones. Now, in the case of technology, it's actually a fast-paced evolution which contributed to how we perceive the world. Now, research, food delivery, ride booking, and shopping are just one click away now, as compared to before. I still, oh no, I think my age will be, no, no, will be exposed, but I still remember looking at encyclopedias before. But now you can just Google anything, and it's there, right? So how do you think can technology be part of the continuing solution post pandemic naman? Kasi we know that our situation right now is we don't have a choice, right? But do you think technology will still be, very important, essential post pandemic? Anyone?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Martin. My take on that is that technology will take still a major role, just like even before. But now we've seen, the pandemic actually just highlighted what we didn't have, what we didn't have, what we were supposed to build, and what we think would prepare us to the next. Okay, any challenge. So what the pandemic did was actually allowed, a lot of donations, a lot of donations to educational institutions, to students, allowed the local government, the national government, to provide more devices. So past the COVID situation, there will be actually more students who have access to technology than before. So the new normal, as they say, would be to move towards a technology um, that democratizes education, so that this the good and quality learning educational resources that we have will not be sitting in, for example, in the library, or it will not be sitting somewhere else. It will be distributed to as much students as possible, anytime, anywhere. Yeah.
I remember pala, no, parang because of technology, they say that a lot of people will be displaced, no, because of technology, because of, there's even a notion where robots will even, with AI nowadays, you have like in the tourism industry, for example, you now have bots, right, bringing you to your room. You have bots, actual robots checking you in, right? So they say that with all of these technological advancements and innovations rapidly developing, what do you think are your recommendations for current students, for young professionals, even for JCI members who are actually, like, specifically for me, no, I'm the local skills development director, and it's a challenge for me to actually conduct training because, like, as compared to my profession, no, as a consultant who provides training for the Department of Tourism, before we used to go around the Philippines and conduct training. Now we can't do that. So what are your recommendations for, the young ones today in order for them to be competitive and relevant in today's industry?
Mars, you want to take?
Okay, sir. Okay, my recommendations would, to start off, I just would want to address the previous question regarding what's the use of the technology or the purpose of technology. The purpose of technology for me, I guess, would be that the circumstances, basically the pandemic, actually forced us, somewhat, in some way or another, forced us to innovate. And basically, innovation is the building block of technology. And because of that, because we're forced to innovate, we are forced again to embrace technology as a means to deliver educational and learning resources. And the pandemic actually also made us assess what was the normal. And the normal before is that 9% of the youth population is out of school youth. They do not have access to education. 9%, and that's, I think, around 4 million youth are not given access to education. Right now, because of technology, we are able to bridge those gaps, and we are forced to innovate and bridge again those gaps. And going back to the question, which is what is my recommendation? I think for the youth, you just have to challenge always the status quo, because the status quo, you should not settle with the status quo. You should always think, you should always innovate. That is again the building block of technology. You should always try to innovate. What is the better modality for me? How can I learn more? How can I have more access to educational materials and learning resources? How could I be able to ingest and digest more all of this information for me to become uh, a more competitive individual, especially in the global scheme? So that's my recommendation. Challenge the status quo and innovate.
And then
And
I'm
I
just gonna
totally agree, Marvel. Yes, go ahead, Mike.
add on that yung I think there was a fear on technology that technology would remove jobs, diba? Automation would displace people. Well, coming from an industry, me and Marvel came from an industry who's labor intensive. We were both seafarers and then shift to education, still a labor intensive. The reason why actually TERP just on the sidelines, what we did was we did not remove the teachers. All right, we created the technology that does not commoditize the business into the platform. What we did was to create a central role of education, and that is the students, that is teachers, and looked at their difficulties in access to the learning resources, look at their difficulties in learning. And what we did was to develop the technology and provided them, and at the same time made them still the central role. So in the technology of TERP and the ABOX app, we did not remove the teachers. We still believe that teachers have the central role in teaching a child, even if it's outcomes based education, even if whatever paradigm shift. So there's gonna be debate on that. But what we did was to still maintain that the teachers are play a central role in education. Another that is that on the threat of innovation, yeah, that it will displace workers. Um, we think that um, that threat, I think, has been there since maybe industry first point zero. Um, the thing is that it just changes from one jobs to the other. And the only way to go forward is not to create, well, on a macro level, a micro level, is not for us to stop the churn. Kumbaga. The way forward for us is actually to create an environment, both the government and the private sectors, the business sectors, to create an environment where it fosters building these industries, new industries. And then when these new industries are there, new jobs will be created. So and for us the workers, and for us the labor force, we should be open to allow ourselves to new, new training or new innovative learning. So it's a continuous journey. When one job is disrupted, we believe that there's another to created somewhere else. So it's just a matter of, having the leaders of the sectors and the government to look into where the development is and make sure create an environment that fosters that growth. Yeah.
Right, I totally agree, Mike, and I also agree with what Marvel mentioned. No, na it's really about innovation. It's about adaptability. Like, for example, learning and development. No, for your information, Junior Chamber Alabang, diba? We're actually conducting trainings as well now with all of the schedule of the people. People are working from home, and they say that akala nga ng mga tao before that if ever you're working from home, you're not really working at all, di ba? Kasi you would tend to slack off. But I personally, for me, I think it's the opposite. No, everyone's so productive, and we have so much. Instead of allocating time for travel, we get to to really work. We even work longer hours nowadays. Now everyone's, I think, Zoom fatigue. I think there's a mention in the chat area that there's even people who's experiencing Zoom fatigue. Now it's challenging for us to conduct training. That's why we're very glad that we're actually collaborating with TERP, no, regarding our offline training. And I don't want to preempt and announce, because of course we're going to have a separate launch for that. But really, it's about adapting to the situation. It's about innovating, and having an opportunity to have an on-demand training is really the best way to go, because at least you can go at your own pace. Right now, there are some questions in the chat, no, in those, or in the social media platforms, that people are asking. So kanina there was a comment. It's a comment from Prince Sarmiento, actually, who said kudos to the developer. So good job daw, Terp, for being able to create apps compatible for older operating system, because again, as you mentioned, it considers our underprivileged you know kids or the youth, diba? So there is a consideration for that. There's also a question, yeah, yung like the thing I mentioned earlier about Zoom fatigue, diba? There are a lot of issues where students are just getting fatigued over this all of the online platforms, ganyan, all of the classes, right? So are you able to actually address this challenge or issue through your app or ebooks?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Okay. Before the pandemic, actually, a lot of people are puzzled. Oh, Mike, why is the app called A-Books? So, and then the platform is TERP. Yeah. So a lot of questions on those, and then of course we were the founders, me included, were also thinking, okay, that direction. But we were set on a path that we really understood education from the point that while there is innovation going on around in education itself, that we say, oh, the children nowadays are learning through videos, through games and all in that. But we believe that there's a different type of learning when students read. No. And then of course there's another study when they write more. So we said that they can watch video, but the current generation now, if it's more than 12 seconds and 1 minute rule, then they opt out of those. So what we said was, okay, let's create a technology that presents all of the learning resources. So that includes the texts, that includes the videos, that includes the photos and the games. What happens with that technology is that it adapts to your preference. So if you love reading the text, then the technology will present it. At the same time, it addresses the nature by which the books that we have before. So the books are there, it's in your bag, right? You bring it in school and then you bring it home. Sometimes you don't read it, but when you need it to study for school, you have it. So, but as days goes by, you have more books, and then when we were children, we carry this big bag. What we wanted now is that what we also looked at during our experiment is that students sometimes forget their books, but this current generation didn't. Where when they leave their phones at home, okay, there was this incident when a student left the phone at home. He went back, but when he left a book, he didn't bother to go back. So we said, okay, let's put those learning resources in a smartphone. At the same time, it has to be on demand. So we said, okay, we never predicted that there's going to be Zoom fatigue, that there's going to be, problem. But we said, okay, let's look at the problems. Let's look at the challenges of the users. Make sure that everybody, as much as possible, we have users as far as Palawan. We have users as far as Pagadian, as far as Surigao. So we made sure that these areas in our country, anywhere, in fact, even islands, we are targeting a test now that we are gonna partner with some local government, and they said, okay, all they have is that all their old smartphones. Then let's put in the educational resources, and then they must be able to access those offline.
Yeah.
Mike, I have a question for you. With everything that's happening in our education system, the challenges it's experiencing, how do you think the Department of Education should address the technology difficulty here in the Philippines?
Hmm. Well, I think the Department of Education need not to create the will on addressing how to how to address the challenges in the technology gap. The way to go forward is actually to partner with the industry. It's always gonna be partnership. It's always gonna be you know there's always gonna be gap in an organization's specialization, or what's their best at. And the way to go forward, if you want to move something, is to go for partnership. To get the right people, you get the best people. So this um, these are available in other industries. So what we can do, I think, in the education departments is to look at how they're doing it, and tap on those what do you call this, their practices. So I've seen Department of Education and the Commission on Higher Education tapped on technology. They created their open portals, like for example the DepEd Commons, and then the Commission on Higher Education had this work with University of the Philippines, and then we saw them use all channels. They use from printouts to television and then we've seen some of and then there are a lot of education and learning resources, and then you have the MOOC. But what I think would be more strategic is for us to push for APIs. I'm not sure if that's too technical. It's to push for more, not only technology per se, but more for DepEd saying that, okay, what do we need? We need this for this region, and then let the business sector or let the technology sector come in and say, yeah, we can solve that, and then we can partner with you. So yeah, and then at the same time, unlike just but just like before, I think now everyone's hard up, especially we're already 1 year into the pandemic. So the way that this needs to be resolved is actually just helping one another, and that's actually the solution.
That's great. No, it's really about, looking at opportunities, and I like what you said about collaboration. We can never do things alone, right? That's why it's very important that we collaborate with different partners, like non-government organizations, like public institutions, and of course the private sector stepping in and really making a difference. And that's really our objective. Now, I have a question for Marvel. No, there's a question, and I often get this question, no, because part of your title is you're a success consultant. Now, there's a question here: how do you start as consultants? No, is it your passion or your skill? What are your thoughts? How do you become one? Because I often get that question. No, whenever people ask me, "What do you do?" I'm a consultant. What is that? No? Why? How do you become a consultant?
Okay, that's actually a nice question. But for me, the consultant part, um, I think the better chunk of my work is in the first two words, which is customer success. I think of myself as not a consultant per se. I think of myself as a servant to the customer. Servant meaning I serve them. I would want to address whatever their needs are. I would want to help them bridge those gaps that they have in education to be able to serve their students far better than what they've used to do, and for our technology to be a means to help them be able to deliver their educational resources better than what they've done in the past. That is how I see myself as a customer success consultant. I see myself as a servant, actually. Yeah,
Right,
and of
right.
course a believer as well, what they believe in terms of education.
I like what you said about bridging gaps, no? Kasi that's actually what a consultant does, no? When you assess, right? You have to really understand what is the core problem, and how do you come up with strategic actions, solutions to address the core problem. And you know what? We actually practice the same framework in JCI. It's called the active citizen framework, where we evaluate, we assess, the community. We try to look at the problems. What are the imminent problems? Is it a problem in education? Is it a problem in, what are the challenges? And then you try to come up with solutions. And I think generally that's what a consultant does, diba? You try to bridge that gap. No? So you were spot on during that time. Now, maybe just to wrap things up, no, we have about 10 minutes here. Uh, in your experience as both consultants and as educators, no, both of you had also experience in education. How far off do you think is the Philippines in solving the new normal education system?
That was a tough
Quite
question.
challenging, no?
Uh, okay. Anyway, I don't
Yes,
know
sir.
how to answer that from a perspective of the. I think the best answer is of course the regulatory have their own, they have their own perspective on things, but I think there are challenges. Yeah, tsaka ano no, we're in social media, don't want to be canceled. So there are challenges, yes, and we believe that we were not prepared. um, the tools didn't came as early as it could, but what we did, the educators, was that they stepped up. what we saw was that there were teachers as old as Marvin, like 50s. We had 50s, 60s. We're
Yeah,
we're even
56.
very very interested in learning the technology. And from me, when we saw that, we said that we had to create more innovation in the tech that allows them, to look at it like Facebook. We said that when they saw this, it has to be something like, um, they don't need to be taught how to use it, and that's what we did. Just say for the younger generation, technically, we just send the link, and then they're fast, and then they know what to do. So um, what happened was we saw a lot of teachers had a hard time, but we also saw a lot of, we were expecting the older generation, but we also saw from that generation that they really tried their best. So how prepared are we, and how did we cope up? Well, a part of that was our resiliency as a Filipino. And then the good thing about it is that what we did was we got whatever means was available. So and I salute, the teachers, even the schools, and the government, because gave, this is what we're available, and I think that's the first step. This is what's available, and then we have to use this, and then what do we do next? So we've seen a lot of we've seen a lot of, during the past 1 year, a lot of innovation that sprung up, and that's good. We had more partnerships with them. We did not necessarily create a business out of it, but we created the partnerships, and then we taught them how to do it, and that's a good thing, because some of them went towards being a partners later on, or customers later on. But what we said is that we have to let you know, or teach you how to strategically resolve the current problem now. Because our goal is actually to move past this, and then from there, then let's do, how do we do another, our new business. So uh, I think we're 1 year after. We built more learning resources. We built more technologies available. I think what we need to do now is actually not to let up on the actions. I think industry leaders need to think of more ways. What if this drags on for another year? What if this, you know, what if this has to be, there has to be more tools now that allows us to move towards harder challenges, para ganyan. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Excellent. Spot on. No? It's a very insightful talk. Thank you very much, no, Mike and Marvel, right? Because I can just feel, no, from your passion and your skills, we can now say that techies can unite through learning and development, right? So we were able to really see and understand, the importance of technology in this time. Now, before anything else, no, would you like to say anything for our current viewers? Any future endeavors wherein maybe we can join you and learn once again?
Yeah, okay. I think our contacts, our social media are gonna be flashed later on. Please don't hesitate to coordinate with us. We're our business in streams from partnerships, not only for customers. We're not only for customers. We're open for partnerships. Meaning what we do is that we try to assist the institution how to go about it, and it goes as far as assisting them just for free. And then, in fact, we're also working on now with some partnerships. Just like, for example, as you have teased on, that there's going to be a partnership with JCI and TERP. As to what that's going to be, I think that we reserve that later on. But what I'm trying to say is that, yes, what we're trying to say is that TERP is an international company. So I have three co-founders plus me, the Filipino. It's it's an international company, but at the same time, we chose the Philippines specifically because we said, no, if the technology works in the Philippines, it will work everywhere else because of our internet, because of our thousands of islands, because of the challenges here. So we said that it's the technology that was conceptualized internationally, and majority of the tech team is here in the Philippines. For your information, so there's this knowledge that's hiding in the Philippines. We just have to look for that. We just have to tap on that, and I believe that if we did that, if we do that, we will be able to come through this.
Awesome. How about you, Marvel? Any final words before we go?
Okay, sir. Final words. Actually, with TERP, I've already said it that we're open for partnership or just anything that you would want us or would like to talk to us. Like if you do have comments with the TERP app, if you can try to download it, and if you want to have sample ebooks, we can do it for you. If you want to check on how our technology works, that's okay with us. We're happy to serve you because being a consultant, as I said, I would want to see myself as a follower and a believer of technology. More on the question a while ago, I would like to address that one. The question regarding um, Zoom fatigue. Sorry, I'm returning back to that.
Yes, go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead.
um, I think the technology is already here with us, as Sir Mike has mentioned a while ago. The technology is within our grasp. The only thing that we need to really assess is how we see technology or how we perceive technology and how we use it or utilize it. Most of us, I am an educator. I've been in Google Meet and endless Google Meet sessions, Zoom conferences, and even as a teacher, it's quite tiring and exhausting to deliver content. But we need to see it that educational delivery should not be a transposition of the face-to-face classroom instruction. It's not the same. If you are in a face-to-face classroom instruction wherein you talk and talk for hours, it should not be the same in online delivery. You should innovate as well the methodology. It's not only the technology per se that you're innovating, but the methodology and how you utilize technology and how you deliver educational or learning resources through the use of technology. So that's my parting words for you. Thank you.
All right. Excellently said. Thank you very much, Marvel Mike, for joining us. Now, for those who actually attended this webinar, all of you can actually get a digital certificate of your attendance. All right. So for sure, you want to get yours. Now, if so, just head on to the website www.esme.ph or click on the link that we posted in the comment section below. So just check on that. Now make your own account and navigate to the title of the webinar that you joined today. All right. Now, before this webinar comes to a close, I would like to invite everyone who wants to learn more and increase their knowledge and skills to visit our website at www.esme.ph. Now, we offer esme.ph. No? Esme Philippines actually offers a wide range of masterclass courses, including their live learning series. So for those who want to enroll, based on whatever is relevant to your passion, career, and interests, go ahead and check them out. Okay, so again, thank you very much, Mike and Marvel Esplago. You have gained new learners and innovators in their field. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time today. Have a great
Thank you.
day, everyone.
See
Happy
ya.
week to the others.